William Bill Edwin Sullivan was born May 26, 1930 in Flint, Michigan. He was the oldest of four and had two brothers, Don and Bob, and a little sister, Dodie. Bill grew up in the Depression. For a time, his mother and father shared a residence with Aunt Gracie and Uncle Eddie. Eventually, they got a place of their own, where his parents had a room, Bill shared a room with his brothers, and his sister slept in the hallway. His father worked in the mechanics shop at General Motors. His mother was an accomplished painter who could play piano by ear. She insisted all the children take piano lessons. As a result, Bill had an aptitude and love for music, sang in church choir, played clarinet in the Dye High School band, and later took up playing the electronic organ. When Bill was 9 years old, the family bought 3.5 acres of farmland. Bill helped his father build a house. He earned badges in the Boy Scouts and developed a lifelong interest in being handy. Billy was in charge of milking chores.
First thing, moved out to the farm, and son, you're taking over the milking chores.
Did you like living on the farm?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Do you think if you had a cow in front of you, you would remember how to milk it?
I never, once you learn, you don't forget.
Yeah. What if wait, show me that again?
Pardon?
You were practicing it?
Yeah. Except
Almost every weekend, they visited his aunt and uncle on Lake Nipissing, or any of the lakes in Michigan where they swam. He had fond memories of fishing with his father. Large family gatherings happened, especially at Christmas. He played basketball and enjoyed playing soccer because of the action. He rooted for the Detroit Tigers and later the California Angels. His mother was Catholic, but his dad was a Southern Baptist. As a youngster, Bill was raised with no religion at all. Then one day, his mom sent them off to Sunday school at Asbury Methodist Church. Bill auditioned for the church choir and said, "I want to join the church." The whole family followed. Bill went on to be president of the Methodist Youth Fellowship and went on to coach Christian radio and television concerns over much of his life. Bill worked for Chevrolet in the footsteps of his father, but aspired to something different. He was obsessed with radio and TV and kept a scrapbook on the local station. He graduated with an associate's from Flint Junior College, and the family moved into town. In 1950, he took his first family vacation. They went on a road trip to Washington, D.C. and New York City. They also went to see Colorado and Yellowstone Park. The trips gave him the travel bug. Bill saved his money so he could go to the university by working with the County Road Commission in hard labor, building and repairing roads. He was the first of his family to achieve a 4-year college degree, a Bachelor of Arts in Social Studies with a teacher's certificate from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He was a chaplain for the Sigma Theta Epsilon Methodist Men's Fraternity. Throughout college, he did other jobs at the local college radio station, WQRS, counseling, and student teaching. His students truly liked him, but most agreed he was too nice and needed to be more strict. Then came the Army draft. Bill was stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas during the Korean War. Sergeant Sullivan went to radar school and got interested in electronics. He worked at KELP in Texas. After the Army, he went back to UM to do post-grad work in communications, the career of the future. He worked at several radio stations, including WMRP, a broadcast arm of the Methodist Church. He had a natural voice for radio and learned how to program musical content. After the Army, Bill took advantage of the GM program, where you could deliver a new car one way to a destination. He explored to see where I want to live, to the East Coast, Florida, and California, staying with family, college and Army buddies, and churches, while hitchhiking home. He took a course in American banking in 1955. He bought his only brand new car, a 1956 Chevy, which he drove on Route 66 that year. He stayed at the YMCA in Santa Barbara, California, and went to work at Bank of America. He found Santa Barbara too sleepy, with no nightlife. He wanted to meet someone to marry, so he transferred to the Westwood branch in Los Angeles. He lived in the heart of Laurel Canyon on Lookout Mountain in 1957 and attended USC, taking telecommunications classes. Then he met Eileen at a friend's party in Burbank and fell head over heels in love. He proposed to her only 3 months later in Toluca Lake. They were married for 65 years. They began their marriage in a one-room shack on Romaine Street in the heart of Hollywood. Many happy memories were made there, and they had their son, Michael. 4 years later, they added their daughter, Mary Margaret, and bought their very own home in Sherman Oaks. Bill would say, "We got it with a VA loan, no money down, and a lifetime to pay." Bill finally had his own home to repair for the next 50-plus years. And for him, the answer to fix almost everything was a trip to the hardware store for silicon. He also loved visiting Japanese gardens and made little fountains in his backyard. Bill truly wanted to open a television or radio station. At one point, he leased the historic TAV Celebrity Theater on Vine Street, aka the Merv Griffin Studios. In 1972, he filed for KBSA Channel 46 in Los Angeles, which, although he was unable to fulfill that dream, it did become one of the initial stations of the Trinity Broadcast Network. Being a good father, faithful husband, and family provider was paramount to Bill. He took his son to music lessons and supported his daughter's creative ventures. He worked in sales for Muzak, originators of elevator music. Other companies included Tamar Electronics, ITT Gilfillan, Hoffman Electronics, and eventually retired after years at the Xerox Corporation, where he was a senior systems analyst. Although he never ever admitted to retiring, Bill was an avid reader. A favorite subject was ancient Egypt and the pyramids. He took the family on trips to the downtown Los Angeles Public Library with the pyramid on the roof, and he got to visit a pyramid in Mexico. He planned vacations, driving across country twice, to Canada to see Eileen's family, and all over the Golden State of California. Santa Barbara and San Diego were favorites. If there was a new mall or landmark to explore in Los Angeles, Bill drove the family to see it. He went with his friend Kip to Las Vegas for NAB and the Consumer Electronics shows. Later, he and Eileen drove to Vegas many times because they liked the free places to dance. Bill's other hobby was researching Nikola Tesla, whom he admired. He once said if he believed in reincarnation, he could be Tesla, but the years were off. His dream was to create a free energy motor like Tesla used in his Pierce Arrow car in 1931. Before the band Tesla, or Tesla Motors, he started a company called Tesla Inc. for his consulting business.
It has little power in it, but there is power being radiated from the cosmos. So,
well, there certainly is. I mean, look at the,
so all we have to do is stop it. If we get the electric motor to work, as we both know it will.
He liked to stay up to watch Star Trek, the original series. Always scientifically curious, after he read The Secret Life of Plants, he put a Scientology e-meter on a philodendron to see if it would respond. And it did. Bill enjoyed collecting things to the extreme. His interests were eclectic: audio and video equipment, train sets, toy cars, miniature buildings, holiday decorations, garden artifacts, books, magazines, and Polly Pockets. He would set up miniature display villages to amuse local senior centers. When the children moved out, it was time for a new avocation: ballroom dance. Dancing was Eileen's passion, but Bill picked it up with a vengeance. For 2 decades, he took lessons and enjoyed dressing up in coordinated outfits. They went on dance cruises and spent their 50th wedding anniversary dressed to the nines, dancing in the Grand Ballroom at the Philo Lee Estate near San Francisco. When Bill could no longer drive, he spent time in senior homes. Then eventually, Eileen joined him. They took their last road trip from LA to live with their daughter in Texas in 2021. Along the way, he visited a memorial to his 3rd great-granduncle, David Stern, Davy Crockett. His last few years were spent doing the activities he loved. He and Eileen celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary last fall. Eileen passed away on January 19, 2023, and Bill asked her, with tears streaming down his face, "How am I going to live without you?" He decided to join her 3 weeks later. He is survived by his sister, Dolores Boucher, his 2 children, son Michael Sullivan, and daughter Mary Margaret Stratton. their spouses, beloved nieces, nephews, and his grandson, Riley Joshua.
I kissed you, fascination turned